I'm gonna put this conversation to bed right here, right now,
Oh,
right here. I gotta ask you. I gotta ask you about it because I see it all over social media.
and what would that be?
Why do barbers charge so high? Why do they charge so much, Shannon? Do barbers get more credibility or street cred based off of who they beat?
It depends on the caliber of clientele that you serve. Me personally, I'm not interested in battles. I'm interested in collaborations and partnerships. I just choose to collaborate.
Would you say that barbers now use social media to get more business as far as showing their cuts?
Absolutely. I think it's a great tool to have. But I also want to keep the social mechanics of barbering in the conversation as far as the industry is concerned. Because when you're on social media, you can paint a picture however you want to paint it. But when a person gets into your personal space, your authentic self is available at that moment. So it needs to be cohesive.
I found my rhythm when I realized that even the steps backwards were a part of the dance. Could you please elaborate?
I thought was going backwards was really preparation to go forward, and it'll happen again and again. So now it's a rhythm of success.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Talks with Ken. This is the place where motivation lives, inspiration thrives, and personal growth resides. I'm your host, Kendrick, and as I do every week, I am bringing you nothing but the good, the funky, the fresh. And that's the same today. I hope you guys have a pen and pad in hand. I can't wait for you guys to catch all the jewels and gems that this guest will be providing to you guys today. I mean, I'm telling you, it's gonna be a treat. It's one that was a treat for me in my life, and I also want you guys to benefit from all the gems that this individual will bring to the table. It's gonna be pure, wonderful conversation. So please tune in, and without further ado, I'd like to welcome you to my guest, Shannon Cleveland. Shannon, what's going on with you, man?
What's happening? How are you?
Man, I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. I'm
Good.
so happy I got you on the pod.
Man, I'm honored and I'm grateful for the opportunity to share a conversation with you.
Without further ado, because we're gonna touch on a couple of topics, okay? Who is Shannon Cleveland, and what is your mission?
Shannon Cleveland is a son, I'm a brother, a friend, an entrepreneur, in short.
Look, and I'm gonna tell you guys, as I told some individuals before, Shannon, he ain't gonna toot his own horn. I'm gonna toot it for him real quick. When I met this individual in the professional space of being a barber, I went to Shannon in sense looking for just a barber. And one of the things that he far superseded was becoming like a inspirational figure, a life coach with being a barber, a an individual that knows more about life. He has multiple different levels, and I'm a firm believer in surrounding yourself with individuals in all areas of life that can speak life, breathe life into you. And little did I know, going into Shannon's place of business at this time was his barbershop, was nothing more than magical. Shannon, how long have I actually been with you right now? Do you know?
Man, I had to
I
guess it's around 2008, 9, maybe something like that.
Yeah, it was a minute.
Coming up on 20 years.
It was a
Your
minute. It's
children
a
were
minute.
your children were small.
Let me get the people, a little bit more understanding about Cleve. What is your day to day like as being Shannon Cleveland?
Um, but first of all, in my mind, I just want to add value to all my circles of influence. I start my day about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, or when I get a little workout in, listen to some type of a audio book or read something. Just pretty much get my day started like that. Providing
With
haircut
you
services.
being there we go. And then with you being a barber, I spoke earlier, or just a moment ago, about you being multifaceted. When I walked into your barber shop for the very first time, it felt like I was walking into an experience. It was something more, it was something that I've never been a part of. I showed up, it was nice, soft music going on in the background.
Yeah.
You yourself was dressed like you were about to go to a jazz outing,
You
nice
said that.
shoes. Yeah, yeah, it was like and it felt like I was partaking in something special. I mean, you know, I don't meet a stranger, no joke, but when I came into your studio or your place of business, it felt as though I was like, "You know what? Once I get this cut, I'm about to go take my lady on a night." Now, does that speak true to who you are, or is that something that you tried to cultivate?
I went through many phases, far as my approach to my service that I provide. At one point I was wearing suits and stuff to the barbershop.
I love it.
Another point I was wearing sweats and track suits, things of that nature. I try to keep myself informed on like current events and different, perspectives so I can communicate with different types of people. And as far as the music, I like music. I like a vibe. So I try to create a atmosphere that's very comfortable where different people can relate to each other and to myself.
And I wanna piggyback off of that is, when I would come into this space when I first met you, and we're gonna dissect this and break this down a little bit too for the viewers. When I first met you, you had the one versus one type of setup, 1v1. So it was me and just you, or a client and just you.
Oh yeah, right.
I was kind of enamored about the individuals that were coming in to and fro, and as it is today, and I'm gonna tell my viewers is what I would call like very stand-up individuals.
Oh yeah,
Very stand-up guys, whether it's in business, present fathers,
right.
people who had a lot of life, they love life. And I seen that
Correct.
like it literally it was like a coming in and out. And I attribute that to your brand. Were you privy to understanding that, or did you see that come to life when you were in that space?
I did. I got some of the best clients in the city, here in Greenville, South Carolina. And I think they come to me because of the privacy, number one.
Mhm.
We talk about a lot of things. They're able to be their true self in my presence. I don't repeat, what we talk about. And I listen, and then if they invite me and I give my perspective too and whatnot. So yeah, I end up with some pretty solid clientele that, contribute to the state in different types of ways.
But look, Imma tell you something that you don't even know.
Okay.
There are times where I would see individuals out, prominent individuals
Oh yeah.
in different spaces, and I'll be like, "Man, I know you from somewhere."
Right.
I was like, "I know you, I've seen you somewhere." And now, y'all, this happened more than you think, but with the individuals I'm talking about in those spaces are individuals giving a presentation at a event, the speaker at a cocktail party or something like that. And I'm
Right.
just like, "Bro, we share the same book." As I mentioned, you're well versed in a lot. And so I end up reading books to gain a lot of my knowledge and information.
Sure.
And me and you, we share a lot of the same thoughts. We share a lot of the same spiritual feelings of that nature. I'm more of a read it and then I look for it, then I experience it.
I
With you
understand.
being in the chair and we're talking the same language, and as you can see, I have a book when I come in there.
Oh yeah, all the time.
With you, is it more of an open source learning thing? Is it life experiences that you couple? How do you get that different dynamic coming from behind the chair with the clippers?
No, that's a great question. As a child, I just paid attention. I'm a real reserved, laid back type of person, and I just watch people. And I had friends and certain family members that I gravitated towards, and I just pay attention to people, and I learned that way. So when I end up reading or talking with someone or having an experience, it resonates with me to a specific moment or a time period or a person. A matter of fact, this current book I'm reading now, The Fifth Agreement,
Yeah,
talks about the framework of communication, how different people connect in that way.
like I said, y'all, he more than just a barber. In your day to day, would you say no matter what you do in life, would you say open source learning and having a yearn for newness is pivotal in any kind of business adventure?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. You got to be a learner. Um, you got to be able to take experiences and other people's experiences and just your environment and build on it. Just be open to pivot at any moment because nothing is permanent.
Understood. I want to ask you a question about just becoming a barber. What would you say for those young aspiring barbers? Like, is there a conventional route to one become a barber, and or is there an alternative route to become a barber?
There's two routes that I'm familiar with, and one which the way that I came into the industry is by OJT, on the job training. I was fortunate enough to have a relationship with somebody who had a relationship with the guy that trained me, and I did the OJT training inside of a barbershop. Or you can go to school and get your hours that and then do the apprenticeship at a barbershop with a licensed barber.
Is in the industry is either way acceptable or frowned upon?
No, not at all. It's really the individual and the way that they learn. Some people are hands on, and some people need a book and an instructor to kind of walk them through the processes like that. Me, if you show me something, I can obtain it pretty well, and then it gives me an environment to learn from it at the same time.
So when you are trying to come into the world of being a barber, is that something that you can do before you graduate high school? Is that something you can do outside of school? Do you have to have any kind of further education uh, at a higher level for becoming a barber? Or can a 10, 12, 15-year old say, you know what, I want to do the on the job training type of deal? What are the parameters and standards that you have to have in place to be able to, like, you know what, I'm a functioning barber now?
You have to have at least completed the ninth grade. A lot of high
Okay.
schools have those vocational opportunities where they obtain their hours while they're in high school. So that's an option as well.
We in the world of social media. You've seen the world totally change in the world of being a barber. I'm gonna use Justin Bieber. You know, before there was blowing up between Justin Bieber and Soldier Boy on YouTube, you really had to grind it out the prototypical way.
Right.
Would you say that barbers now use social media to get more business as far as showing their cuts?
Absolutely.
Would you say that's a big, like, hey, this is a perfect way for you to brand who you are right now?
I think it's a great tool to have. But I also want to keep the social mechanics of barbering in the conversation as far as the industry is concerned. Because when you're on social media, you can paint a picture however you want to, paint it and frame it however you want to frame it. But when a person gets into your personal space, your authentic self is available at that moment. So it needs to be cohesive.
Man, you just hit the ball. And again, that's
Yeah,
why I think you're so relevant now, because you literally are the same person that you are
yeah,
in the shop, the same
right,
person I'm talking to right now.
exactly,
That is
right,
truly you being in
right,
alignment with yourself. No showboating. Y'all
exactly.
seeing this Shannon, y'all are getting that same professional Shannon when you get into his chair. I think that speaks to the authenticity of number one, like me and your relationship. Side story, y'all. Shannon, one of the things that I really didn't understand or was totally enamored, and Shannon can probably tell you I was kind of in awe of this. When I first started going to Shannon, and this is probably the first couple of months, me and him could have a certain type of conversation. And then I think I don't know if I was on every week schedule or every 2 week schedule then, I don't know. But when I would come in 2 weeks, a month later, he would recognize and remember the conversations that we ended off on the last time. I was like, "Bruh, all of these people you see,
Right,
and then you pick up right where we left off." He said, and he was just simple, plain saying, I mean, that's what I'm supposed to do, right? Now, I
right.
mean, yeah, that's what you're supposed to do, but people don't, you know. What did you attribute to that? Was just you paying attention, being present in that moment with every client that you have?
Just being real with you, every client is not equal. You know, certain people stand out more than others. You know,
Yeah.
you're a communicator, so I communicate with you. You know, some people come to the barbershop to relax and be quiet, and some people come to converse. You know, so I kind of provide what the person is looking for in that moment for that service.
Would you say, um, you're seeing more individuals gravitate towards a more one-on-one approach than the old days of pick a number, sit out here and wait? Or do you think it's still a community and a need for both?
I think it's a community and a need for both. It really just depends on your personal value system and what you have going on in your life. You know, the more structured a person is, the more appointments are attractive. The less structured a person is, that old school walk in, sit down, wait, talk is attractive. So it just really depends on the caliber of your clientele.
And I wanna piggyback off of that too, is, when I first met you, it was that 1v1, that one-on-one. Very
Yeah,
organized, very structured. And actually, you were the very first one. Now, there were barbers that I had in the past that say they will be on time, and this is your appointment time, and they
right,
never really went by it. But when I
right.
showed up to you, it was like, "Jump on in."
Yeah,
And the conversation began.
yeah,
I was in and out. It was
right.
literally an experience, and that was week in, week out to this day. And Shannon, I also like to ask you, what went behind or what made you go from an original ownership of the group barber dynamic to the solo one versus one client versus barber type of relationship? How did that whole thing go about?
I wanted to see exactly how I could manage a barbershop and not physically be in the barbershop. So I had an opportunity to have a suite early on before suites were popular. And it was a great learning experience.
And you're right. That was the first time I witnessed that. That one. Um, now what made you think about doing that as far as, you know, being that trendsetter, seeing it, did you function off of a certain set of knowledge that you seen, or is it just something that was innate in you? Like, you know what, let's switch this up a little bit.
I'm a person that believes in trying things that I don't quite understand. You know, and I learn on the way. I build a plane in the air, you know. So
I
I'm,
love
I'm
it.
just that type of person, you know. So it was a chance. I mean, it could not have worked, you know, but it did. You know, and I'm okay with, the results that come from trying new things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think this is a good segue to get into this part.
Okay.
So Shannon, I saw you, and this is the personal growth and you, and this is what I saw too. Because again, I believe in surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals. And sometimes you have to see something being done before you can kind of understand it yourself. And I was very much a student, even in the chair, seeing you operate. And so when I met you, you had the one shop, and then well, I only knew of the one, the just 1v1. And then I go into what you've already established, and that was McAllister Square location, I believe?
It was 311 McAllister Road.
Okay, okay. And then so and I
Greenville.
go in there as a fully functional, operable, barbershop with, heck, I don't know, I think it's 6 to 8 barbers and beauticians, I think that was in there. But you also wanted to expound upon that by opening up another location or 2.
Right.
What made you want to do that?
I was married at the time, and my ex-wife needed a salon chair. I had a cousin that lived in the Spartanburg area. He shot a flyer to me, took a picture of it, texted to me, and I went up there to buy a chair for her. And when I pulled up, it just felt like I could do something with that space. So
Now,
that was the beginning.
I don't want you to brush over this.
Okay.
How does one go about taking thought matter and seeing it, realizing an opportunity, strategically placing himself in the right position at the right time, looking for that opening, and then getting the contracts together, getting the space built out together? How does one conceive that coming from a life of being a barber to surreal entrepreneurs, like, I'm gonna see it and I'm gonna create it. What went behind that process?
First, I thought when I went in there, it was a 4,000 square foot building. It was really too big, but they were using most of the space for storage. I inquired about the building with no success from the tenants. So I went online, found the owner, which was Capacity Glass right around the corner. I walked in there, introduced myself, told him what my intentions were, asked for 6 months for build out and option to buy at the end of the original agreement. And he said yes to everything that I asked for without nothing, no credit check,
Yeah.
no background check, no nothing. It's a handshake and a conversation.
So
Yeah,
basically, closed mouths don't get fed. You never know unless you ask, right?
exactly.
And I'm trying to get the viewers to understand this because a lot of people do continue to sit on the stool or do nothing, waiting for that perfect moment to strike. They have the idea, but someone else operates on it, and their idea is quote unquote stolen. With you being able to manage a shop currently, being able to show up day in and day out for your current clients, where do you find time in your day to craft out? I'm going to go and start a second location. Do you craft that out in your schedule each day? How did you plan it out?
Well, I noticed a cycle, about every 5 to 7 years I would have a downturn. So I said, man, I need two of these things so that when one is having a downturn, the other one should be doing decent or well. So I said, let's try this and just see what'll happen. And then I started just thinking, how can I fit this into what I'm already juggling financially and emotionally and relationally, and just started putting it together piece by piece, you know?
I think that's something to be inspired about. And firstly, like, how do you take that brand that you were able to have up in the Greenville upstate area? And by the way, that was was that XL Beauty and Barber as well?
Yeah, Excel, Beauty and Barber, that was the name.
Okay. And how did you like, I'm gonna duplicate me. I'm gonna duplicate my vibe. I'm gonna be able to establish a XL Beauty and Barber too. I'm asking this question because a lot of business owners, one thing they struggle with is trying to duplicate their process that worked really good over here.
Right.
But how can I craft that out to be the same? Did you like, hey, I'm gonna figure this thing out as I go? Or you just kind of figured out the blueprint what you had in the past that you was gonna try to duplicate in another location?
My mind wasn't on duplicating myself at that moment. My mind was on providing the opportunity for stylists and barbers to work,
Mm.
just with the same name in a different demographic. You know, duplicating yourself and duplicating the brand, that's more advanced. I'm just now, 28 years in the game, just now getting to that point to where I understand, things on that level. That process was a part of this current process in evolving, in the industry.
One of my follow-up questions was gonna be, what would your younger self roast the newer you about? As in a sense of
I don't know. I don't know. I was a master roaster in school. Let me see. I really don't know.
you still quick with it. I'm gonna tell you that you still quick with it.
I don't know. Roasting. I don't know.
Yeah, look, but I say that because I think one of the misnomers a lot of individuals have, like you said, you were just in the process just doing it, and that's something that you're still trying to learn or implement
Right.
now, or really learn
Currently.
now, 23 years
Yeah.
later.
Right.
I think one of the
28.
most naive
28 years.
naive. Yeah, yeah, how long?
28 years later.
28 years later.
Right.
And it goes back to what you're saying, like, I'm just gonna try it. I'm gonna try it out, and if it don't work, I'm gonna learn something from it. But
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest misnomers is thinking, instant success, but one of the biggest takeaways that I'm taking away from your story is you didn't wait for everything to be perfect. You just saw the vision, and you didn't let
Man. Yeah.
the technicalities stop you from going into that second location. Is that would you
Not at
agree with
all.
that?
I would 100%. 100%. I don't believe you can just wait for conditions to be perfect.
Mm,
I think that's a common thread with anybody who's successful on any level. You got to just move forward and do it. Yeah, period. You're gonna make some mistakes. You're gonna have several styles of relationships with people that you come in contact with, and just be grateful that it don't take you all the way out. That you can, wake up to do it again the next day.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. And let's talk about, if you want to expound for my viewers, let's talk about what Shannon also has going on currently. You got a label of love going on with the
yeah,
state. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
would you like to tell the people about what you currently have going on?
yeah. I would. Currently, my business is not Excel Beauty and Barber anymore, but it's Live to Win Beauty and Barber, and we do government contracting.
Hmm.
We also provide healthcare services to healthcare facilities and reentry programs. We currently hold several contracts with on the state level and on the county level and in different healthcare facilities. And we're now going into hiring barbers and stylists to share the opportunity with because the demand is very high.
How did you come about finding out that space? Is it just years of seeing it? It was a need, or this is like, I think that I can see something bigger than myself. How did you even dare to dream to try to throw yourself in that type of arena?
Well, I can't act like I'm just that sharp to say I
Yeah.
could just make all the right moves. It was a relationship that I had with a client that was on the state level, and he seen a solicitation on a government website and just simply texted to me on a Sunday or whatnot, and I followed it up and was awarded that first contract with Greenville County Detention Center. And once I was inside that situation, it just made sense to me. I'm just like, man, you know what? This is a business model. This is a underserved area that I feel like I can put a structure to.
Ladies and gentlemen, there he go again. He's telling you for the second, third time in this interview, the power and belief in self. And again, I done said this before, you got to try quick, fail fast. It will reveal to you whether it's for you or not, and you can't be
Right.
afraid of any kind of outcome.
Correct.
You just
Yeah.
never know.
Correct.
And I get a chance to witness this. As far as seeing you add to your arsenal, expand your reach, is
Right.
just a beautiful thing. And unbeknownst to me, and I'm gonna tell this, is not just a barber.
No.
You're working a plan.
Right.
Do you think that that's something that any quote unquote barber or beautician can craft and mold for themselves as well?
I do is start with just the way that you see yourself, and also with your circle of influence. Yeah, for sure. It's very
Is
approachable.
there this is a sidebar. Is there like you know how they do rap battles? Is there a barber battles? I see that stuff
Yeah.
online too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Do barbers get more credibility or street cred based off of who they beat?
It depends on the caliber of clientele that you serve. Me personally, I'm not interested in battles. I'm interested in collaborations and partnerships.
Mm.
Um, I want to battle myself and be better than I was this year than last year. But I say that now that's just my value system.
Yeah, I
I
understand.
don't discredit that piece of the industry because it is an opportunity for exposure, on different levels. But I just choose to collaborate.
I'm gonna put this conversation to bed right here, right now,
Oh,
right here. But I
okay.
I gotta ask you. I gotta ask you about it because I see it all over social media.
And what would that be?
Why do they charge so much, Shannon? Is that real?
Well, yeah, absolutely, it's real. High is connected to value. When I hear that word,
Mhm.
what's high, what's low? What does that mean? So I think that's an individual thing. What type of value that you bring to the marketplace, and how many people can you get to agree that what you're asking for is valuable? Now that's what it boils down to. The more people agree, the better you do.
I asked that question, and I know what the answer to that question is, and Imma give you my take on that, is I always believe you get what you pay for, but I
I mean,
also believe
sometimes,
yeah, but look, and I also believe in that fact of, um, somebody can make a drawing at a kitchen table and somebody, say that's useless and they just throw it in the trash, and somebody with the right eye is gonna say, I'm gonna sell this for $1,000,000 in a museum.
yeah,
And I look at that as value. I'm okay with paying a premium on a service that I deem to be more priceless. Because again, I I'm talking about just you per se. And anybody out there that's looking for a barber, it's more than just a cut. It's an experience. And I think all that has to be accounted when you're talking about ease, peace of mind. It ain't many men. I'm gonna say this for the men. It ain't many men that can go somewhere and just feel like they're in a spa. It's the oh man, I get to relax today. I get to
right.
relax these 25, 30 minutes. I get to relax. I ain't got to worry about nothing. I got the nice music going. If I want to talk, I can talk. If I want to be quiet, I be quiet. It's that goes into that. And I want to correlate that too with, I'm gonna say this for myself, not just you. When I
Okay.
was doing photography, I found out that when I first started, yeah, I was giving away sessions and, because I had to get my portfolio up and then, I started to get, then I started to increase my prices a little bit, and then I figured out that at a certain price point, a lot of individuals was flaking. They was canceling on me. They didn't show up. They didn't come in when they said they was gonna do it. They was always wanting a deal and stuff like that. In which I was a younger photographer, so I was like, okay, go ahead. But then after 1, 2 years of that, and I was like, you know what? I really trust and I value my time. And when I was like, you know what? I'm gonna charge X amount rate, and that rate went a little higher than what I was previously charging. But my clientele, who was really serious and respected my time, that started to grow my photography business like wildfire,
Yeah,
and I enjoy those sessions. Would
yeah,
you say that same type of thing can be used in the pricing structure with, being a barber or a beautician?
I sure would. But you got to for my industry, I like to blend it in together. Like I have, people that been with me since the beginning. I charge, what I charge, but then I have new people that come on now, they get a different fee like that. And I just make myself available and I try to stay busy with that approach. But when I recognize that a person doesn't value the service that I want to exchange with them, I just move on.
As did I, as would I.
Right.
And now,
Right.
are you very much a scheduler or planner type of individual, or you just like, "I just know my schedule like the back of my hand, I ain't even gotta have it." Like, how do you keep it in the road?
Yeah. I'm a plan now. I like to call it like a framework of time. I got a general framework that I know I'm gonna be in certain spaces on certain days and for a certain amount of time, and then I kind of pivot in those spaces.
Man, like me, the busier and busier I get now, I done played around with a couple of things. I done played
Yeah,
around with the calendar stuff, the schedule stuff,
yeah,
impromptu stuff, and I find places like, even when I come to you, I might, say, "Oh, do this a little bit different today," and you be like, "Oh, no, no, I got that time built in." You
oh
know?
yeah,
And I'm
oh
like, "Oh,
yeah,
this guy is very intentional on how
oh
he
yeah.
operates."
That's
Was
right.
that something learned as being, in business, or is that just something that you just like, "Man, it just makes sense?"
It just makes sense to me, but it turns into a real great tool in business.
Now, I wanna kinda pivot, ask you some questions outside the world of barbershop, okay? These ain't my final 3 questions with Ken just yet, but I wanna get your take on these quotes from
Okay,
you that you posted. I want you to dive deep in this. We're gonna have a little bit of dialogue on it, okay?
okay, all right.
I seen one of yours, and I love this. It said, "Growth feels lonely until you meet the people walking in the same direction."
Oh man,
Expound on that, please.
oh man. Sanctification. We have to be set apart, for a season of 5 or 10, to be developed into the person that we need to be to carry the level of abundance that we see for ourselves. Yeah.
I ain't got nothing else to say. I share that same sentiment. When I seen that,
Right.
I was like, "Man, this is very thought provoking," and I too have had to walk that walk.
Yeah.
That kinda stuck out to me as well. And then,
Yeah.
a next one that I saw you post, unlocking aspiration into achievement is fueled by strategic planning. What did
Yeah.
you mean by that?
Exactly what it says. You got to have a game plan, how you gonna approach this thing so you can get your hands around it. And I think it goes with that last one that we just spoke about. Once you see from being by yourself and you put a plan to the thoughts that you receive while by yourself, that's when the magnet, that internal magnet turns on and you draw the people going in that same direction. Um, and it's gonna work. You're gonna win.
Let me ask you
Yeah.
this, do you like being in that quote unquote "closet" by yourself, crafting out those ideas, writing down? I don't know if you journal or not. Do you
I
enjoy that
love
time, and how do you go about those quiet moments?
I love those times. I was developed into falling in love with those moments because in those moments, you kind of got two choices. You're either gonna accept the emotions in a positive framework, or you're gonna frame it up as a negative, and then
Mm,
the results gonna go along with the way you frame it while you
mm,
in the alone space. And you're gonna see exactly how you frame it. Yeah.
bar. That's a bar. And
Yeah.
another one that I saw you post. I found my rhythm when I realized that even the steps backwards were a part of the dance. Could you please elaborate?
And it's the cha-cha slide out here. What I thought was going backwards was
Yeah.
really preparation to go forward. And then it'll happen again and again and again. So now it's a rhythm of success. That's what I frame it up in my mind as, a rhythm of success. You got to get comfortable with it.
I want to piggyback off of the live to win. I'm a firm believer it's hard to know what winning feels like truly if you haven't ever lost, or in a sense, if you have not
Yeah,
ever got those L's, which I turned into lessons.
that's right.
So with that, that's
Yeah.
what I got out of that when you said that's a part of the cha-cha slide. I
Yeah,
think life
man.
is ebbs and flows, and how we look at that current situation will provide a lot of context on how we move forward to the next thing, or how we soak in our own misery or wallop in our own self-doubt and pity.
Yeah.
And what you just now said, and that's what I've witnessed in your life as far as you being able to pivot when you need to pivot, looking ahead, having that hindsight type of mentality, crafting out the world in which you want to live in. I mean,
Right.
and I really want to give you your flowers, man, because
Thank you.
when you think of, well, I'm gonna say for me, when you think of a barber, you think that there's a ceiling, right? You think that there's a I'm just gonna cut this many heads. I'm gonna have this. I'm gonna become a six-figure earner with my clippers. But having the wherewithal to say, I'm gonna create this. I'm gonna create another shop. I'm gonna create. I think you even created a club or a restaurant at a time or something like that. Was it not?
Had a restaurant and a nightclub, and I helped him manage it. Yeah.
Going beyond the clippers. You're going
Right.
beyond the chair.
Right.
This is what I want the younger generation to kind of understand is you can utilize where you're at. If you're gifted and talented at something, use that to craft out the life that you want. And this gentleman that I'm speaking with right now is living proof that I can craft out the life that I want. Really good and skilled with the Clippers. But
Right.
his business
Thank
acumen
you.
has been went through the roof. He's continued to dare to dream, and he's not afraid to try and have to not even fail. He's not afraid to have to pivot, and I think that was one of the biggest things that stuck out with me to you. And I've been across many barbers in my lifetime, but to Shannon, I really want to say to you, you're doing something special in
Thank
the
you.
upstate and in the state, and I'm very, very honored that I be able to witness this, have been able to witness this over the last years, and then I can't wait to see where you're trying to go next.
I
I
appreciate that
really,
so much. I was just thinking as we talking about all these different various topics or whatnot, certain things popping up in my mind, and I'm like, man, me and some guys had went in together to do a jazz club one time that was existing, and we bought into it. I had forgot all about that to just now. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. It didn't work, but we tried it. You know.
yeah. But look, it may not have worked in one way, but it worked in
Oh,
another way.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
that's what I want a lot of individuals to gain out of this conversation is that it's okay to try. It's okay to
For
try because you don't
sure.
know if it's really for you until
Right.
you've given time, effort, energy, money, whatever to that situation. And life will show you. Life will show you.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna use your words, man. It's nothing but the cha cha.
Yeah, it's a
It's nothing
cha-cha,
but the cha cha.
man. I don't know if the young people know what the cha-cha is.
Yeah.
It might be something, you
What
know,
they got? What
I don't know. It might be something
it ain't
different
even the
now.
lean with the rock with it. It might
That's a whole nother generation. Yeah.
look. Well, at this moment, I want to talk. I do want to get into the Ken's final three questions. Are you ready for those? Question number one: what is a common myth or something people understand about your profession? Do they think it's easier to get into the world of beauty and barber than they think?
You know, that's a challenge for me to answer because I've never thought about what other people think. I don't know. Sometimes that's a tool and sometimes it's a hindrance because people might expect me to know, what's on their mind, but I don't because I'm on whatever I'm on at the time. So it might escape me. So I don't have nothing for that.
You
So
know
I
what?
don't know.
I think that's the beauty in how you become what you are.
Okay.
Most people stand on a stool or do nothing because they're afraid of someone else's opinion. They're
You
afraid of
know,
what someone else will think instead of crafting out their own goals and their own vision. I think I just got dug deep into something on that one in your non-answer.
yeah, man, I don't have one for that one, man. If you think about what people think, you ain't gonna do nothing. Yeah. Yeah. I'm on the
I
field
love it.
out here, people understand, that's what they're supposed to do. Talk about the coach, talk about the players, talk about the advertisements, all that stuff. I mean, I don't want to say I don't care, but I kind of don't. So yeah,
Next question. What is the biggest challenge you've had to overcome in your entrepreneurship journey? I know we probably touched on some, but what is something that you can try to shine some light on? Some of your biggest
man,
pivots?
accepting, the people that are in my circle, accepting their framework of their mind and not just believing that my framework of my mind is the only framework that exists. I have to keep myself open to the way other people think and process. And at 48, I'm just now getting very comfortable with accepting that. And I can see a difference in how my business and personal life is taking off in positive ways. Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all understand this. He should be a poet.
I appreciate that, but this is how I see it in my mind.
I know it. I know it. Look, and again, what you see with Cleve, that's what you get. My last question: what is your personal definition of success?
Man, what I'm doing right now, making an agreement with you that we're gonna carve out some time to have a conversation and
Mm.
being able to do what I want to do when I want to do it and how,
Hmm.
you know, and I can get up and walk off and I can sit down. I got, my health, my mind is clear. I relax, I feel good. I got, you know, great family, all the stuff like that. Yeah, that's success to me. Yeah.
Now, I hope you guys picked up all that came from within. Not one time did he just mention like the glorification of money. He talking about
Nah.
nothing of that nature. I really want y'all to see. or hear what he didn't say. That's what I want, because one of my personal definition of success is living out a worthy ideal, doing it unequivocally, whatever you deem fit that you want in your life, live that out. And with that, I like to say again, this gentleman right here beside me is doing nothing short of crafting out the life that he's envisioned for himself and inspiring others one cut at a time. And I want to end this off with saying, um, if you have not, if you don't have a bubble, and I know Shannon, his schedule is already full, but I'm pretty sure he might be able to get you in. He'll probably get you in. Shannon, what can they find you at, man? What you got going on? How can the viewers find you?
Man, you can find me at live to win forever.com. I'm
Okay, and
right there for you.
I'll make sure I have that link to my brother right here when we post this video, and that way you guys can make sure you get in contact with Mr. Shannon Cleveland. And with that, Shannon, I really want to say thank you for coming on, sharing your wisdom with my viewers. And this conversation will not fall on deaf ears, I promise you. And if there's any young and inspiring barber, I'm pretty sure this gentleman is probably a DM away from being able to point you in the right direction. And please, if you need to rewind and rewatch this video, please do so. And again, this man is going above and beyond the Clippers. All right. Shannon, thank you for joining us today. And
Hey,
to
you're
my talks
welcome
with
and thank
Ken.
you.
Yeah, you welcome. And to my talks with Ken community, man, thank you guys for tuning in today. And until our next conversation. All right. Peace.